Now, Zwakele Mncwango heads Action SA in KwaZulu-Natal, and he joins us now. Thank you so much for your time. I understand that you went to Bekesiswe High School today, which Letiwe was just telling us about. This is a high school that's had problems for years, and these problems have not been sorted out. What did you see?
Yeah, it is true. The school have issues that have been there for a while now. When we arrived there, for example, you still have learners who are still looking for a space in the school. So there's still a challenge of placement, and more than 50 parents were sitting outside waiting for the school to assist them with placement. But moreover is the issue of teachers. The school have enrollment of over 780 with only 14 teachers, and they need about 6 to 7 extra teachers to actually provide proper teaching and learning in the school. But other problem is infrastructure issue. You still have toilets that are temporary toilets, which are 5 years old. Even those temporary toilets are actually need to be replaced because the department promised the school to rebuild toilets while providing temporary toilets. But also the issue is the issue of asbestos. You know, it's just shocking that today you still have schools with asbestos. We know how unsafe is asbestos to especially learners and young people. So our government is subjecting our people to these terrible conditions. There's a lot, even classes. I can tell viewers that the Bekesiswe High School is not ready to start teaching and learning tomorrow, because even classes, they will still need to be cleaned. There's no proper pollution facilities. There is also an issue around water and also issue of electricity. There is no electricity. Can you imagine now, because we need to move towards technology, how do we expect teachers to provide proper teaching in the schools without electricity? It's just shocking what we saw there today.
It certainly sounds like it.
The department will respond.
Yeah. When you say there's no electricity, are you referring to the load shedding?
No. There is no electricity in some of the classes. In fact, for teachers to use electricity, they must use extension from one block with electricity supplying other classes. It's just terrible. There is no laboratory. Can you imagine? This is a high school teaching science, but there's no laboratory. So 29 years of democracy, you wouldn't expect such when we are saying we want to provide quality education, but you still expect the same learners to pass matric and go and compete with other learners at university level. It's just not really a situation that you want to see your child going there.
Absolutely
but imagine
not.
More than 600 kids going there. It tells you parents are out of options.
Exactly, and this is the thing, is that parents just simply don't have options, and that's what's so desperately unfair. Do you have any idea what the pass rate is for this school for matric?
The last year, it was 84%. And the principal is positive that he will definitely get more than that. And I'm hoping, because you can see teachers are hard workers, but the conditions that they are working on are not really conducive to provide proper teaching and learning. But they are working hard to provide education. But I must say, I did engage with the MEC today. I've asked the MEC to go there and see for herself. And she promised to go there.
So I want to talk about the MEC in a minute, but do you know how many kids are in each class? I mean, are the classes overcrowded?
They say it's about 48 to 50 in a class. Obviously, you know, the benchmark will be a teacher to 80, but there it's more than that. It's between 48 to 50. And I can tell you, if they will end up accepting more learners, because they're under pressure. They're under pressure that more parents are crying outside and saying, look, I'm a resident here, I'm a neighbor to the school, I want my child in this school. So I think the principal and the school will also be forced to actually ensure that kids are actually protected of their right to education. But while you're doing that, they must understand that they must not provide proper education because of the gap now having more learners than teachers.
What I don't understand, and you said that you've spoken to the MEC for education, how can the MEC not be aware of these situations? And what answers are you getting, if any, to the reality that toilets that were promised years ago have not materialized and the kids are still using temporary toilets, that there's this concern that there's asbestos, which we know to be toxic. You flagged it, one of the teachers flagged it as well. I don't understand how people who are in authority to look after schools, and we know that there's an issue, that sometimes it's across certain departments, but who's actually dropped the ball here? Is it the Department of Education in KwaZulu-Natal? Is it Public Works? Who needs to have their head on the chopping block, in your view?
Look, definitely is Education Department. Remember that Public Works is just a service provider, and Education Department is a client. So the client must assign work to a service provider. So what Public Works will do, will only do on request of Public Works. And I can tell you the challenges we will see in the schools, mainly, you will find that there's always a conflict sometimes with MEC of Education and MEC of Public Works. And I think it's an issue of ANC politics. We saw it playing last time before the changes of the cabinet. We don't know now whether the changes will bring the improvement or not. But we're assuming that because the cabinet now are coming from the same ANC faction, maybe they will improve the situation. But I can tell you, last time around, the issue was where you've got an MEC of Education fighting with the MEC for Public Works, and they are fighting with trying affecting the progress in terms of service delivery and infrastructure challenges in schools. But I'm hoping that now maybe things will get better. But definitely, Education Department must take a blame on this one.
Yeah.
Because they must also instruct Public Works to fix these schools.
So you've explained what's going on as our reporter about Bekisisa High School, Bekisisa High School. But there are, and this is not a high school that was affected by the flooding last April, but there are a number of schools that were affected. That has not been repaired. Not all the schools have been repaired. Of course, these things take time. We know that. But the reality is our children should be prioritised. We also know that there aren't enough teachers to go around. There isn't enough money to go around. It's astonishing that Bekisisa still has an 84% pass rate. And as you say, credit to the teachers, hardworking teachers, and to the principal. But I want to ask what you're going to do. I mean, it's important for the media and for politicians to raise awareness around this sort of thing because it's unacceptable. It's simply unacceptable. What more can you do? What more are you planning to do? Apart from making a racket, speaking to the MEC and saying, come on, what can you do? Is there more you can do?
I think firstly, one must correct this. The school was actually affected by flood.
Okay.
The retaining wall it was affected. They still have to renovate the fence. They've got a concrete fence. It was washed away by the floods. So again, it's an issue of incompetent government because the disaster was declared in the province and the president committed 1 billion rand, of which till to date, the province have not received a cent from that commitment of 1 billion rand. There's another debate for another day. But in terms of your question, what we do moving forward, and I think it requires actually all of us as residents, as community to come together and really find a solution for our own kids, because really it can't be going on situation where really kids are learning under such conditions. But we will obviously keep insisting with putting pressure to the MEC and departments and ensuring that they fix the problem, because end of the day, it is their responsibility. Kids have a right to education, and as politicians, as leaders, we must take responsibility. That is why I believe that as leaders, we must go and see for ourselves. I could have just sent a researcher to go and see what's going on, but I'm a leader that believe that it's always better to go and see for yourself. That is why I said to the MEC, don't just rely on our report or your department. Go there for yourself. See what's going on there. Standing there for about 10 minutes was too hard. The way is so hot in those classes. Now imagine someone who must sit there for an hour concentrating in a class in such a hot condition, because asbestos actually draw heat. So it's just unattainable situation. and also risk in terms of health.
How can you learn
the issue of lung
in an
cancer,
environment like that?
Which is mainly caused by asbestos.
I want to ask you another question which is not linked to this story. It's just to close the loop on a previous story. I know that in December there was that, I think it was on North Beach, it was originally called a freak wave, but it was actually a very rough side swell of waves. And a number of people died. There were a lot of people in distress in the water. And at the time, Action SA, and I think you were at the forefront of that, called out Life Saving South Africa. And you were concerned that they weren't properly trained. You were concerned about their agreement with the city of eThekwini. And they came back very strongly and they said, this is absolutely not right. We absolutely do have the proper training. And they were absolutely passionate that they had been unfairly accused. Just tell me what is the latest on that from your side. Have you got new information that's changed your view of the role of Life Saving South Africa?
Look, I think firstly, one must correct this. It was never a view of Action SA. It was a report that was commissioned by the city with conclusion and recommendations. So everything we said is on the report. So if Life Saving South Africa want to challenge the report, they have a right to do that. And I think they know where to go. They must go and challenge the municipality. It was done by city integrity, and the report was leaked. We managed to get access to the report. And everything we said was based on the report. It's a report that says Department of Labour confirmed that they don't have a credit to actually give certificates. So, look, accreditation is done by different stakeholders. If those stakeholders are saying, no, we haven't given them an accreditation certificate, then who else can argue that? And I think they must challenge the Department of Labour because they made a comment with the municipality when they did investigation. So definitely, you can't blame the media of that. I heard that they were blaming eNCA, they were blaming different media houses, they were blaming Action SA. But I think their blame is misplaced. They must go and challenge the report. They can even ask for a review report because they can go to court and ask the report to be reviewed. They have a right to do that. We can't really stop them from doing so. But all we are saying is it was based on the report that they can't really give accredited certificates to those lifeguards. That's all we're saying.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for clearing that up. We do appreciate it. Thanks as well for highlighting what you're seeing at schools around KwaZulu-Natal, around eThekwini particularly.